Welcome to Close Up on America's Business, where business, finance, and technology intersect. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with the always bubbly and energetic Eve Nasby, and from the Disabled Business Persons Association, Mr. Urban Miyares. Our goal on Close Up is to focus on how business, finance, and technology play into our everyday business lives and make our communities a better place. We have a great show, so let's get this party started.
So exciting.
Welcome, Eve. Welcome, Urban.
Pleasure to be here.
Today is a good day. We've had a couple of shows under our belt after a couple of years off the
hiatus.
microphone.
We were all on hiatus, taking a nap. And we're back.
It's been fun. Last week we had Joe Strazzeri on with us, and I love the guy. He's always a wealth of information, and he says it in a way that I can actually understand it.
And he's so humble, too.
He is.
When you meet with him one-on-one, he can take a spaghetti mess of your business and just make it so seamless and so easy.
Like I told you, where was he 40 and 30 years ago?
I know, when you were working on one of your 23 businesses. Urban, little hot shot over here.
So, I never could find out what I wanted to do. It's
Mr.
just crazy. Yeah. I guess it's just business and whatever jumps up.
I think Urban stopped at 23 because he was thinking about the change in technology, and then all of a sudden out came 23andMe and all that stuff. And so,
well, here all you are with your cell phones and pads and computers and all, and I'm sitting here with just a water bottle in my hand.
You're probably the lucky one.
I've got my tea, man. I need my tea.
Well, that's what's great about being a writer now, is my new business, in that my work is in the quiet with me and the computer at home, and I'm truly loving it. Now I can write about all the past years in the 23 businesses.
And that is such a trend, and I don't think that trend is going away. And it's called the gig economy because you can work from home and you can have your own gigs and you can be your own independent contractor. And if you want to be a writer, you don't have to go into a cubicle at work and sit there and write. If you want to be a graphic designer, you can do that from your own home. And
if you want to turn around and offer your services out to the general public, we have the World Wide Web, which is probably about 40 years old now. But we have the web out there. You can get on any site and post yourself up for the services you provide. Example. I run a customer relations management system at my office. Everybody does. Yeah. I've been doing this for so long. I've got 25 years on one platform, and it's time to change. And so all of a sudden, I'm trying to figure out, how do I move? And it's easy to migrate the data to somebody else, but what I came to find is trying to migrate the notes and all the activities, 25 years of notes, which is an incredible load. Yeah. They can't do it. I need to hire a specialist to do that.
Wow.
And the first couple of specialists that came via the web couldn't do it, so now I got to go find a site, a Fiverr or one of those, right?
Yep.
So it's just, what's going on with the web out there is incredible, and the ability.
It really is.
Yeah. So
with the web, and I think it was 1994 the web officially started, but the thing about the self-employment, they're predicting that I believe within the next 5 or 10 years, as many as 40% of all those employed will either be full-time or part-time in some gig, self-employment, independent contracting.
Okay, so that's amazing, Urban. I'm looking at an article right now from Forbes, and it says that Intuit estimates that gig workers will represent 34% of the workforce right now, and will grow to be 43% by 2020. So you're right on.
I was wrong again. Yeah, it truly is exciting, and look at it. Think of your biggest companies in the world. They all started in the garage, or most of them started in the garage or on a kitchen table. Yeah. They were all self-employed, or 2 or 3 fellows, women getting together and had this great idea and went forward, and look where they are today.
And now millennials don't want to do what baby boomers did for 40 years, and that's work in the same company for 40 years. You get the golden watch and you're out, right? They want that and need that constant interaction. And what I'm hearing is they stay in their jobs for 3 to 4 years, and then they go on to the next opportunity. And if you're in your job for more than 20, they think something's wrong with you.
Yeah. They don't give out golden watches anymore.
They don't.
They iPads and all that. And they're not in gold. It's truly amazing what's happening in our economy today, and all the opportunities out there.
Think about Uber, right? They completely disrupted the entire marketplace, and as did Lyft. And that's this third swim lane. So there's the W-2 employees, right, that we all know and love. There's the independent contractors, which are increasing in popularity on this gig marketplace. But what happens, Urban and Barry, if you've got a dependent worker? And Canada has created that third swim lane, and that means you can have somebody work for you at your business as an independent contractor who might not legally right now in the United States anyway be classified as a 1099 contractor. But they're moving to that. If you need somebody, for example, Walmart is now paying their employees if they are off of work, they clock out, but they have Walmart has these deliveries right now. They'll deliver your stuff to your home. Well, now they're going to take these employees and they're going to say, "Hey, Barry, I'll pay you whatever to
go drop this off.
Go drop this off on your way home."
Well, I know we're focusing on America with close up on America's business, but as you know, I work around the world, and what's happening in Europe and UK just came out with a new definition of self-employment there because it's taken over.
Yeah,
self-employment and.
Everybody's doing it.
Across the big pond there. The little pond, I'm sorry.
The little pond.
The little pond. I'm going the other way. I'm going
It used
west,
to be a big pond until we got into the gig economy. Now it's So, hey, you are listening to Close Up on America's Business, where business, finance, and technology meet. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with my co-hosts Eve Nasby and Urban Miyares. And if you want to appear on our show, just email me at bwaxler@barrywaxler.com or give me a call at 619-295-5920. And I am on extension 22. Talk to me direct. So, great. Guys, this is exciting. What's going on in the world out there with the gig economy and everything else. No matter what we want, we've got one place to go to find it. And that one place is expansive with bazillions of sites. But, Eve, what is the gig economy doing to your business? You're a staffing you do a lot of staffing work. That's got to be a big effect on you with all the freelancers and everything else coming out. Yeah,
it's really, really exciting. And I think coming up, there's technology that I'm actually involved with personally. There's a really small company that's about to disrupt the way that we do business as a temp staffing agency. You can imagine it this way. If WD-40, for example, needed a receptionist or somebody to work in the warehouse, they could go on to this app that exists today. They could go on to an app and they could post, "Hey, I need a receptionist." A college student who's on the app as well might look at that request because they're going to get buzzed by that request and say, "I don't have class today. I'm going to go do this." And so the app then sends them the map on how to get to WD-40, and after they have their 8 hours as the receptionist, WD-40 literally pushes a button. Think Uber pushes a button and pays that college student that day. They don't have to fill out paperwork to apply for the job. They don't have to wait for 2 weeks to get paid. They get paid instantaneously. WD-40 gets that worker instantaneously. And guess what? This worker comes with workers' comp. This worker also gets benefits on the app. That's what's happening right now. That's trending. That's a game changer, Barry.
There's so many crazy things going on. I mean, I just had to sit down with my son last night. And, for our listeners, my son is barely 18 years old. And, they figure out so many different crazy ways to make money. I don't know if you realize this, but there's what we call a hype clothing movement going on.
I don't know what that is. No.
Well, you know what? When we were kids, 3 weeks ago.
Love you, Barry. Love you.
When we were kids, we would go out and you'd go to a store, you'd buy clothes and what have you, or if you wanted to collect something, be it stamps or coins or whatever you collect, and maybe at some point in the future they'd be worth more money. Right. Sometimes it's a car, whatever it is.
Right.
Well, in today's world, they have these limited edition or rare clothing that people pay I shouldn't say people. It's mostly young people. Let's call it that.
Okay.
Let's call a spade a spade. Okay. It's
all
young
right.
people. Okay. They'll go in and they will find these clothing, be it from a company like Supreme or somebody else, that make limited edition volumes of stuff that gets really popular. So my son figures out this way to go on a certain website. I won't say what it is because I don't want to screw up his opportunity.
Okay.
But he goes on, he finds clothing. He says, I like that. Somebody's willing to sell that at a cheap price. I know it's worth a lot more. I can pick it up for a sweatshirt. I mean, of course, when we were kids, a sweatshirt was $20 or something.
Right.
I can buy it for $100 or $200 or $300. And he comes in last night. Says, I just picked up $1,400 selling 2 shirts.
What? Oh
no lie.
Gosh.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Branding and marketing.
Yeah, branding, marketing, and it's all rare items out there. Okay. His best friend. You got
to tell that story, Barry. You got to tell the story.
Bless this kid. I won't use his name. Because he likes to, even though he's what we call an influencer, he likes to stay low key. Okay.
You're talking about product. Years ago, Las Vegas used to have a show every year, and they may still have it. I haven't been in the market long enough to remember, but it was called the Surplus Store. And it was all second quality.
Yeah.
And I remember one year we were doing
like an
T-shirts.
Army Navy store or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and one year we were doing T-shirts, and we get second quality T-shirts from a brand name, and there was something wrong with the stitching or the sizes were off or whatever it was, and we picked them up for 40 cents a shirt.
Right.
And, of course, they sold for, then it was $6 and $7 and $8 a shirt.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, well, it's crazy. It's crazy what's going on. So my son's best friend, I'll use his first name, Trevor, which doesn't mean anything to most people, but, Trevor decided that, he was playing these online video games, right? I forget what it was, Crossfire. I don't know the game, so I'm dead wrong on whatever I choose. But
Miss Pac-Man.
Yeah,
that was my era.
So that goes back beyond this one. So anyway, so he's playing these games, and all of a sudden he sees there are some. He can buy and sell skins, and he can make money on that. Skins are, I guess, some kind of. It's a virtual thing, right? So he says, okay, well, I made a few bucks. Why don't I turn around and teach others how to do this, for fun, okay? And back in the old days. Probably even today, as a matter of fact, you go into real estate, people that can't sell real estate, teach other people how to buy and sell for nothing, right? Nothing down. So anyway, so he makes a YouTube video, gives himself this crazy internet name, right? And all of a sudden, people start looking. I can make money selling skins. Next thing you know, he was 15 years old when he started. He's 18 years old today. He's making millions, literally millions, because he got 1 million people to follow him. Well, if I have 1 million fan base,
right,
I'm going to find somebody that wants to get to my fan base because they're all the same type of people or the same type of interests, I should say.
Right.
And all of a sudden now we can get all of these advertisers to come in because they want to get to my fan base. Okay, he started making millions, and he found other ways to do it. He's a brilliant kid.
Right.
I think one of the things I find in the market, especially consulting with a number of those with disabilities, is that everything's about how quick you're going to grow, how many millions you're going to make, what's going to happen. Yet there's this basic group that just want to be small. I mean, think about your neighborhood where there was always that restaurant, maybe that insurance salesman, the dry cleaner. They've been there forever.
Right.
They haven't grown. They haven't expanded. You remember them as a kid, and if you visit your home, you're looking for that store again. And these type businesses are still out there.
Yeah.
The small one to earn just enough to support their family, and hopefully family members, if someone gets sick or dies, will come in and keep the business running. And that's the generation I grew up in. I won't go the years back there where it was all mom and pop operations, all over the place.
Then the big box stores come in and they start gobbling up mom and pop, and it's hard to find mom and pop out there.
It is, but they are out there, and people are starting them again. It's starting to get into that mode.
Yeah, well, I think our economy is going to a place, and I think the San Diego market has kind of led the way in this country, and the reason for that, I was talking to Urban on the way over here today, is in San Diego we have a very high cost of living, but our wage scale is lower than, say, a place like Los Angeles, what have you.
Right.
So everybody had to find a way to keep up with the rising cost of living.
Right.
So people went in many ways to become independent, because they knew they had limitations if they're working for somebody else. So I think we led the way. But look at the gig economy.
Yep.
Everybody is going in a direction where they want to. I mean, my son. Go back to my son again. He wants to be an entrepreneur. I said, Shane, let's go get you a job. Okay, let's go get you a job.
You know what, Barry? There are fewer full-time. So that same article on Forbes, there's fewer full-time opportunities, and many young workers have resorted to finding gig work to make ends meet. And those small part-time jobs are oftentimes insufficient to provide for anything beyond their basic needs and their student debt payments. Which, by the way, since Shane is going into college right now, the average college graduate of 2003 left school with $18,000 of debt to pay back, while the average graduate of 2016 is left with $37,000, and it's going to be higher today in 2018.
Yeah, and if you go to a post-grad school, take, for example, Nick, my girlfriend's son, okay?
Yep.
He's 6 months or less into, being an attorney working for a firm, and he's walking away with $180,000 worth of college debt.
Yep, exactly. And how do you
ridiculous.
pay that back? And so the gig economy is a great way to supplement your income, but many young people are using it. And let me also jump another category where 50 and older. We find that the trends are now 50 and older. People are looking for that gig work part-time opportunities.
And the retired population, living longer, they get bored. They go back into business.
Yeah. Hey, we got to get to a break here and come back. I want to continue this conversation. This is Close Up on America's Business, where business, finance, and technology meet. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with my co-hosts, Eve Nasby and Urban Miyares. We'll be right back after a short break. We are back. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with Eve Nasby and Urban Miyares, and this is our second go-around with Close Up, and I just love it. I want to just tell you guys how much I appreciate your participation in this and what we can do, and hopefully we can make a difference out there, teaching people something, helping people moving along. As you grow in your staffing company, we want to get some of your employees on here to tell their stories so we can hand that out. We just want to make a difference in the community. And our community grew a lot because last time it was Close Up on San Diego business.
Right.
Now we're Close Up on America's business.
That's right.
Okay.
And I think it'd be fun to bring your folks in too, Barry, because you unravel and unpack that life insurance piece where, people like me can go, oh, I actually get it.
Well, what's really going to be different about Close Up this time around is I wanted to create a product or a process whereby we can tell a lot of great stories.
Yeah.
So we had, last week we had Joe Strazzeri on, and he told us about Founders Group and his group of companies.
Great stuff.
We're going to be bringing on a lot of other advisors, okay? And people look at me and they say, you're bringing on your competition? I said, sure. Yeah. Let's teach the community. I'm going to learn something. You're going to learn something.
Right. Yep.
So we're going to bring on a lot of advisors. We're going to talk a lot of stories. We're going to figure out what's really good, what do people really want to hear, and then let's see if we can take this thing viral.
Yeah.
Okay? That's why I love the podcast environment more so than the live radio because people aren't listening to live radio. They're listening to it online anyway.
Right. So how can we get a hold of you? Like if we've got people out there that are listening that say, hey, I want to be on that show.
Two choices. You can call me the old style way. Call me. Okay? 619-295-5920. I'm on extension 22. Or you can just email me and say, I want to see can we tell our story on radio? And I'd be happy to get you on here. Yep. The email is bwaxler@barrywaxler.com. Just get us a note. Let's get it going. Mm-hmm. So, I love what's going on with technology. And you know what? I was the type that couldn't even turn a computer on for years, okay, and finally I broke down and did it. Okay, well, I guess that tells you a little bit about my age because, I remember, things like when I bought a computer with a 20 meg hard drive, and I said, how could anybody use 20 megabytes of data? That's just ridiculous.
Right? Now look at our phones today.
Yes. Now look at the phones and everything else. And, I was just over a short while back over at Miracosta College presenting to my daughter's business class over there. And one of the things I said, is look what was true at one point is not true today. What some of these very substantial people have said is going to happen, okay? The last one that I put up there was Bill Gates. Everybody says Bill Gates, wealthiest guy in the world, one of the smarter guys out there, what have you. But back in 1981, when PCs were coming in, he looked down and he said 640K ought to be enough memory for anybody, anytime, right? And you look back and you say, that's not Gates saying that, but we are moving so fast.
And how has technology helped people with disabilities in the workplace, Urban?
It's been great. Matter of fact, most of the technology, or a lot of the technologies that the able-bodied population uses, originally started with the disabled, from optic scanners on up, and been there. But it's allowed us to catch up to you in the marketplace, especially with today's technology. We only hope and wish that it would stop for you and keep up for us, so that we can take a step ahead. But it's great. I find it difficult for me personally because it takes so long. Every time Microsoft upgrades, as an example, we need to get, for the blind at least, a whole new software program to match up with that new version of Microsoft. And often there's a delay. It's a knee-jerk reaction, and it can be 6 months or a year after before we can catch up to you. But it's gotten so much better, and it's helped so many get into the workplace, either as employees or as business owners. And, of course, with working from home.
Right.
Now, with the internet and so forth.
That's what I was thinking, too. It makes it easier, I think, for employers to hire people with disabilities. Because there's now accommodations that are electronic to help.
Yeah, and, back in 10 or 15 years ago, there was a brand new thing that came in called telecommuting, okay? Where you could actually work from home and be productive for your company. Now, for the most part, unless you're in a physical labor job, virtually anything can be done virtually.
Right.
Even homes are built now with offices for telecommuting.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the whole face of business is changing.
Yeah, a whole world is changing, and it's exciting. I find it. Talking at San Diego State, I talk there often, and that's where my office is at, San Diego State University, and it's talking with the young generation coming up. And I'm excited about them.
Yeah.
And I read all this stuff about millennials and this and that, and it's mostly slanted negative compared to prior generations. They're the same exactly as us. They just do things differently, but they get the same results. And I'm quite excited about the coming generations. I really am, in working with them.
You see a lot of studies, how they crave new experiences. The millennials want those new opportunities, especially when they're not sure what they want to do. And going back to the gig economy, that gives them the opportunity without demanding excessive sacrifices or risks. And that economy, it largely focuses on part-time jobs, temporary gigs. Turnover is expected. Loyalty isn't a guarantee. And if you know millennials, it makes it easier for them to experiment, to gain more experiences, and building their bigger networks at a faster rate.
Yeah. Well, the lemonade stand and newspaper delivery has died for the kids out there. They're hopping on a computer and, as Barry gave an example, doing wonderfully.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, the newspaper delivery has gone by the wayside, but the little kids, it's just getting younger to put the lemonade stands out there.
Now, in some communities, they want a business license. It's so ridiculous.
There you go.
That sounds like one of those TV commercials. I forget which one it was. But, social media has just absolutely taken over. I find it interesting because, as a child growing up, and remember, we always had the rabbit ears on the television, which those of us who don't know what rabbit ears on television are, I'm not going to tell you.
Right.
Jumped into cable, and now it's everything's. Before long, the cable is going to be there just to pump the signal in. There won't be any more television by cable. It's all pumped through the internet. It's just, I think it's a fabulous thing what technology's doing. And, one of these days I'm going to get one of my favorite companies back on again. I want to go back to Halanis.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Great company.
They were nice.
Yep. Well, hopefully, knock on wood, my daughter wants to intern over there during college, so they offered her an interview. We'll see if they take her or not. Yeah.
And talk about what that technology looks like for those listeners who don't know who they are.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I looked at it when I first saw it, and of course, when you first see something new in technology, you have one vision of what it is, and your vision changes as they change. And this is a company, the guy who owns it, Richard Hollis, fabulous story. I mean, this guy is such a uniquely bright individual. You know, when Life Sciences was brand new back in the 80s, he launched a little company called Genentech and sold it for $46 billion.
Wow.
Okay. Started one of his own pharmaceutical companies, did a bunch of things there, and you know, when the crash came in, you know, he took a step back, you know, back in 2008, says, what do I really want to do with my life? And his kids came in. Of course, the kids were, you know, in 2008, the kids were barely in their teens or maybe just coming out of college. And, you know, they looked at him and said, Dad, why don't you get into the technology space, right? And they started looking, and of course, this is a guy that you know, reads a book a day and just incredible capacity, and started looking and doing the research, and they came up with a program or a company that ultimately was called Halanis. And Halanis, if I describe this well, is a platform. It's not a website. It's not it's not social media. It's a platform that organically drives your search engine optimization to the top of the search engines. Okay, so organically, if you're driving up to the top of the search engine, and then seamlessly connecting with any social media platform you want, then all of a sudden, whether you have it on a MailChimp to get your info out or your constant contact, connect that in there, along with LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and all this, all of a sudden you have the ability to communicate in a way nobody else knows about. Okay, he spent about 9 or 10 years and millions of dollars to develop this, and of course, as soon as he developed it, he shut it down and he had to redevelop it because of technology. Yeah. Right. And, along comes his son and says, well, listen, this is all about, pumping out social media. Came up with this brilliant idea. He came up with the idea to take social media, go out and find all the influencers out there, to help the influencers manage their page to improve what they're doing on social media. Number 2, build this reach that's incredible, and now if he has hundreds of influencers that he's managing their page of, he can come out to any industry and say, we can get your message out overnight, or less than that, instantaneous, let's say, and we can match you up with the influencers that fit your market and just drive it that way. Fabulous idea. So I said, well, why don't we go out and why don't we talk to one of the greatest influencers in the world, although it's old style influence versus internet. And so I introduced Richard and Hayden to Jennifer Lopez, right? Because they've been old friends with the family. They took her, and it was funny. They took her, and she was going up for the People's Choice Award last year. And as she's going up for there, she's trailing Lucy Liu by a long shot from what's the Sherlock Holmes show? I forget the name of it.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, I know you're not a television person. I get that. So anyways, they send out a social media blast. Now, you got to remember, this is a company that controls a 3 billion reach in social media, which was probably 2 billion at the time last year. Okay?
Right.
They turned around and overnight, had her surpass everybody and win the People's Choice Award for the first time in 6 tries.
Wow.
Okay. They said, wow, and so I that was right after I had met with Jennifer on the night that her and Alex were quote not dating. Okay, that was pretty funny back then to see them over there. And in any case, so we're talking about that. Next thing you know, she's coming out with a new album.
Wow.
They took in less than 24 hours blasted it out and got 230 million downloads on that album.
Jeez.
Okay, so I mean, this is technology. This is where we're going. Yep. I love it. I'm looking to go buy a Tesla. The thing drives me wherever I want.
Yeah. For those out there that are my generation, Jennifer Lopez, or J-Lo, is a world-renowned dancer, singer, movie star, Vegas star, TV. Just to bring everybody up to date.
Yeah. Yep. She's the old style influencer, but if she ever heard me say that, she'd probably shoot. Well, listen, we're coming up to a break. I want to carry this conversation a little further, but anyway, this is Close Up on America's Business, where business, finance, and technology meet. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with my co-hosts, Eve Nasby and Urban Miyares. We'll be right back after this short break. We are back. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with Eve Nasby and Urban Miyares, and we're having fun talking about technology. Isn't that odd?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I won't go into your age bracket, but mine is well beyond, and I'm leading the way in technology. How's that?
Well, let me tell you, with technology, one of the downsides of technology, and especially amongst those I work with, is they want to go into businesses that require technology. It's so expensive to be competitive, and financially they can't afford it. So I often have to back off and do the hierarchy. Where do you want to be in business 5 and 10 years from now, and how do you start now? You got to walk first before you can run, and it's often a battle. And they think or believe, an example, vocational rehabilitation or the Department of Veterans Affairs will buy them the equipment they need, but they got to remember the equipment they need is the equipment at the lowest price, and not the equipment necessarily they need to be competitive in the marketplace today. Right. So they have to find other ways to do it, and that's a battle. So the economy is so technology advanced right now. Even the mom and pop operations, right, to stay even, not to grow or expand, they have to have some type of access or use to it.
I want to make a point of something here too. Urban, I look at you and I look at, what's happened in your life over the last 20 or 30 or 40 years, and you're very dependent upon a lot of things at the VA, right?
I am.
Yeah, you are. And for listeners who don't know Urban's story, Urban was blinded by a combination of diabetes and Agent Orange back from
Vietnam.
And possibly a stroke.
So a number of different things cause blindness. So
started 23 companies.
He relies on the VA to do a lot of things. And, it tells you how important technology is in our lives, where the VA will pay for and train people like Urban, to have computers and have technology, and it's not easy and it's not a cheap thing. Urban, when you get a new computer, you have to go in for new training, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. How long did they? It's up in what? Long Beach?
The Long Beach VA. Yes.
Long Beach VA. How long did they keep you up there the last time you were trained on a computer?
4 weeks.
Jeez.
4 weeks to learn a computer. Okay. Now, of course,
and I already know the computer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, if you were 18 years old in your position, it would probably take you about 3 hours.
I don't know. Well, you got to realize I have a TBI, traumatic brain injury, so my retention of items is less. I can remember numbers and figures, but
I find that so hard to believe.
Yeah, I know. I could tell, and my wife could tell.
No. When he says his retention, okay. I'll tell you a story about Urban. Right.
Okay.
This was several years ago, and Urban and I were getting ready to go out to lunch or breakfast or lunch, whichever it was. And I went over and I picked him up, and we went over to the restaurant, which was in an area town. I mean, I know. Where Urban lives. I don't know the neighborhood and the restaurant. So we went in there. We had breakfast, lunch, whatever it was, and we got back in my car. And I said, "Ready to go home, Urban?" He says, "Yeah. Why don't we take the shortcut home?" Okay. Now, for our listeners, I'm going to repeat this. Urban is blind. Okay. And he says to me, "Well, why don't we take the shortcut?" I says, "Urban, I don't know the neighborhood, right? He says, don't worry about it, right? And I pull out, he says, come up to the stop sign, turn right, turn left, right, left, right, left, and I'm in his driveway. I'm saying, and he's telling me he has a problem with retention.
All right, Barry, down, Barry. I'll reveal a secret. I've had 3 C&I dogs, and that path we took, I probably have taken that path once every other day for years.
No, the dogs.
So you cheated on me.
I let the dog out of the bag.
You did.
So
All
who
three
let
of
the
them.
dogs out? We need to have that little theme song.
Who let the dog?
Yeah. It's all the dog. I say left, right, and Barry followed.
That's right.
Yeah, just like the dog.
I follow instructions well. What else is going on? How does technology really play into what we do? We're talking about the gig economy this week, and we're talking about...
and it's just starting.
Yeah.
Who knows where it'll be 5 and 10 years from now?
Not going anywhere. I mean, again, circling back to there's articles. Forbes is what we've been talking about today, but tons of articles out there from business owner publications to human resources publications. How does that affect human resources when you've got these people that are just coming in to do piecework or day jobs, or even with seasonal workers? Right now, you've got L Brands that owns The Limited. They own Victoria's Secrets. They own Bath and Body Works. They hire hundreds, if not thousands, of people during the season, right? The Christmas season. Well, right now they have to put them on their own payroll, which is expensive. There's a cost to that, right? Because they've got an entire human resources department that needs to deal with what? Applications, and you've got employee issues, and you've got scheduling issues. You've got this labor that costs you money to bring aboard. Well, then you let them go at the end of the season. Now you've got possible unemployment claims, you've got, slip and falls, you've got workers' comp claims, all that kind of stuff. That costs you money. But now, think about this. If you didn't have to bring hundreds, if not 1,000 people on during a season to your own payroll, nor did you have to put them through an agency for a 40% markup. If you could just have an app where you posted a job, you had 100, 200,000 people apply through that app, you hired them through the app, and you only paid 15% through the app, what would that do to your bottom line?
Yeah.
That's where we are right now with this company that I've been working with. That's the answer to the gig economy as it relates to me personally, for my business, for my industry.
Right. Yeah, I stop and think about it, what's going on in the work economy, and, my daughter who's going through college, right? She's trying to figure a way to make money and do different things, so she loves the Zumba class, got certified to train as Zumba, and my concern with that is, how many classes can she latch on to and teach when she does it? She does a wonderful job at it. So I said, why don't you hook up with Uber? Let's get you, I'd be happy to help you. Let's get you a nice car that you can use for that. And all of a sudden you can make your own hours. Yeah. Right? I mean, it's just, when did we ever have these opportunities?
Yeah.
We didn't.
Yeah. And here's the nice thing about Uber, Barry, is they've already paved the way from a legal standpoint. They're already in Sacramento. They're already in D.C. hammering against. And then there's a new ruling that came down a few weeks ago now called ABC, and it was done here in California, where you have to meet 3 qualifications to be classified as a 1099 contractor. So they're doing away with these 10 fuzzy questions, and it makes it more difficult for 1099 contractors to thrive in this state. Big surprise for the state of California, but I'm telling you, Uber has their legal teams at work, and they're paving the way for the rest of us that are coming behind them with these ideas that take advantage of the gig economy. They're paving the way for us.
Yeah. You're listening to Close Up on America's Business, where business, finance, and technology meet. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with my co-hosts, Eve Nasby and Urban Miyares. If you want to appear on our show, just email me at bwaxler@barrywaxler.com. So, you know what? It's so exciting to see what's going on. You stop and wonder. I look at what the world looked like when I was a kid. I look at what the world looks like in my kids' eyes. What are my grandkids going to see when they're old enough to pay attention to all this stuff?
But, it's funny. I hear about all these new sales techniques as one example, and I say that's been around. They just changed the name. It's been around for years.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the sales techniques we have today were created during the Depression. The 1920s,
right?
From positional selling, which they call something else now, and it just goes on and on. And I just laugh, and especially with the marketing, I hear the latest revolutionary in marketing, and no, it just has a different name.
Right.
It's there. It's just coming back again. So, business people, and I tell all those I've helped in business, every year at least, if you don't follow, not your business, but your industry, you're going to fall behind. Right. And I tell them to get their NAICS number. That's the number the IRS gives you for your business. That's North American Industrial Classification Number. Type it in Google search and find out what's going in your industry. If you got a day off or a couple hours off sick, because you're going to find more articles and pick up some great ideas for your business. But most business people, they're working their butts off.
They are.
They don't have time for anything, no time for family. They're trying to keep ahead. Technology is great, but it gives us more work to do.
Yeah,
There's so much information coming in.
That's true. It reminds me of a saying that I used to use all the time, and in our world, we have pioneers and we have innovators, and the only you talk about doing your research rather than being the pioneer. The only thing a pioneer ever gets is narrow in the ass, right? So it's the innovators that take all of the hard work that the pioneers have done and started and failed, put it together, make it work, and do things. So what Urban talks about is right on the money. We get into a trade or a profession or an occupation, and let's dig in and understand what's going on in that occupation. Too many times people fly blind at what they do.
Yeah, it reminds me of that sharpening your saw story. I don't know if you guys have heard that. So there's this guy, he worked in a sawmill, and every day he would get there on time. He would take all of his breaks, take his lunch, and he would leave on time. And his productivity was 2 to 1 with the guy next to him who came in early, worked through his breaks, worked through lunch, and left late. And so one day this guy who was completely exhausted turns to the guy that's been taking all of his breaks and says, "How on earth are you outproducing me? I am working more hours than you do." And he goes, "Well, I take my breaks." Well, and that makes all the difference. And this guy says, "Well, what do you do on your breaks?" And he says, "I sharpen my saw." And that's what we're doing. We're doing our research, right? We're sharpening
being busy and making money are two different things. And sometimes it takes a few hard knocks and businesses that didn't go well before you realize it. If you want to work extra, it's because of a passion, not because you have to.
And the technology, you can work smarter. It's just, that saying, work smarter. With technology, the world is at your fingertips. You don't know how to do something, YouTube it. Somebody out there is an expert on it.
I got to tell you, I love YouTube. I got to tell you, a great YouTube story, right? So 9-10 years ago, I kept seeing these 25, 30-year-olds, and everything they listened and learned was all from YouTube, and whatever YouTube said was gospel, and that was just the way it was. And I said, "Come on, what are you, crazy? Anybody can put anything up on YouTube, right?" All of a sudden, this is probably a year ago or something, and, I have the Jaguar I drive, right? So the battery is in the trunk, right? And if the battery goes bad, it's an electromagnet that opens the trunk. So I'm trying to figure, okay, I can't push the button in the car anymore.
Right.
There's no keyhole in the back to open it up. How do I get in the trunk? Right? So I stopped and I said, "Hold it. There's got to be an answer on YouTube." So I turned on YouTube. I Googled, how do I get into the trunk of my Jaguar with a dead battery? Right? And it comes over and it says, you take the key and there's this tiny little logo on the back called XK8, right? And you put inside the bottom loop of the 8, you put your key in there, and there's your key to open it up.
Who knew?
Who knew? Encyclopedia Britannica just never had that information. Okay,
what's going to happen, Barry? Pretty soon the kids won't be going to school. The science fiction type thing. Yeah, how old are you? I'm 6 years old. They put a helmet on you, and your brain is programmed for what a 6-year-old should have, and you do that periodically till you get older. And then, of course, when you get my age, they start erasing it.
Gosh. So, we should have our listeners call in or contact you, Barry, if they've got a technology that's helped them grow their business or make their business successful.
Bring it on air and show it.
We want to know.
That's great. So, this has been a fun show. We're just about out of time. Why don't we do one thing, Eve?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people would love to connect up with you and see, whether it's work, whether it's tax credits or all the things for veterans and WOTC and all that. How do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. So we are a staffing agency. We're Infused, and you could reach us on our website, infused.work. That's infused.work, not .com. Or you can call me if you're looking for work or looking for great talent. We've got both. 619-244-3000 is my phone number, 619-244-3000.
Great. Thanks. And Mr. Urban, sir.
Urban.
Yes.
When people need some help because you run Disabled Business Persons Association, how do people find you?
The best way is by email, and that's Urban, URBAN, at disabledbusiness.com. And we're an all-volunteer education charity, so if I don't get back to you right away, it's because I'm busy writing a book.
Many books.
One of many.
One of many books.
So, and I'll just relay the information that if you have a question in business, if you are a disabled veteran or just a disabled individual and you need some advice on business and entrepreneurship, anything in that line, I love to teach financial literacy. Urban loves to teach the entrepreneurial work. So just contact us. For me, you can get me at bwaxler@barrywaxler.com or call my office, 619-295-5920, and I'm on extension 22. So it's been a great show, guys. I really, really appreciate it.
Keeps getting better.
We are off and running into our new millennium of podcasts. So anyway, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Barry.
You've been listening to Close Up on America's Business, the show that brings business, finance, and technology together to make a positive impact in our community. If you want to be a guest on our show, call me at 619-295-5920, extension 22. Or just email me at bwaxler@barrywaxler.com. It's been a fun show today. Join us again next week for more Close Up. Thanks for listening.